Peter Fontaine is a professor of Georgia Tech, majoring in English. He likes reading comic books and also writing books. His PhD is in creative writing, and also he has been teaching many students over 10 years at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Georgia State University. He traveled across the country. He is born in Southern California and lived Las Vegas for 10 years and Atlanta, Georgia for 10 years. Also, he visited many more different places in U.S. states, also Italy, Canada, Mexico, Pacific or Oregon, Seattle, and so forth. His favorite food is hamburger, so everywhere he goes, he always tries to eat hamburger, since different people wanted to go different restaurants which has different kinds of hamburgers. He used to be a picky eater in his childhood. He didn't like every green things, but as he went to the college and met many kinds of different people who had different food backgrounds, they encouraged him to eat vegetables or different kinds of food, so his food experience could be enlarged at that time. Until now, he has many different kinds of people and enjoyed to meet them with every different food. One of the most influential people he ever met is his wife. He's now living with her lovely wife, Sarah. Sarah is really big cook and has shaped his taste of food since they met first time. Peter Fontaine had no more experience of food, but has met diverse people, visited diverse places. And these things changed his taste, his perspective of food. So this is why I choose him as an interviewee. I'm really interested in his change through many experience and interaction with people and places. So we deeply discussed with his childhood and people he met, places he had been when you were a child. So what do you think made you being picky eater? Is there a special point of them?
Well, I think when I was a kid, my mom loves to tell this story that when I was a baby, they bought all kinds of pureed baby food, and so they bought pureed carrots and pureed green peas and that kind of stuff. But they also got applesauce and they got pureed fruit and so forth. And my mom said that when they were feeding me as a baby, she'd give me the little spoonful of vegetables, and the vegetables would go in, and the vegetables would come out. As a little baby, I'd spit it out. And she said, but then they'd give me like the applesauce or the pureed fruit. She said the fruit would go in, and the fruit would stay in. So I had so even as a baby, even as a little infant, I had a really bad sweet tooth. I liked the fruit puree. I did not like the vegetable puree.
You like really junk food and fast food in the childhood because your mother has to go to work and your father is in your house, but he cooks well, but I don't know why you want fast food a lot, and I mean like why you are exposed in fast food a lot.
Well, the way it worked was both my parents shared cooking duties when my sister and I were very young, and so I remember many nights of pasta and Mexican food and meatloaf and things like that. Very very sort of traditional sort of family dinners. And but what happened was when my sister and I were young teens, we started getting involved in all kinds of student organizations and so forth. And my father in school, and my father started getting involved in a lot of community organizations now that my sister and I were a little older and we didn't have to. He didn't have to stay home and look after us all the time because it's got to the point where I got my learner's permit, my driver's license. I was able to drive around, and I was able to take my sister to dance classes and volunteer work and so forth. It was just easier for somebody on their way home at dinner time to stop and pick up fast food for the family. And it started out where we would do it a couple nights a week. But I remember by my junior year of high school, we were eating out more than we were eating at home. So it was easily 4 to 5 nights a week.
You said your wife made you enjoy vegetables, but how can she make that easily, like in very short period of time, compared to your entire lifetime before you met her? Though you had experienced very narrow diets and hate vegetables, how can she make that?
I think it was a combination of things. I mean, for one thing, my wife is very, very smart. She knew that I like things to be, either very sweet or very salty or very savory, very fatty. So I mean, that's how she prepared the vegetables. When I told her I didn't like vegetables, she's like, you should try my vegetables. And so what she did was, she cooked them in a very special way. I mean, she fried some vegetables. She would bread and cook them in fat. She would cook them in butter. She would cook them with garlic. So she would season them. She would flavor them and so forth. And so they didn't really taste like raw vegetables. They tasted salty. They tasted savory. Yeah. And that got me eating vegetables. And she slowly changed it so that more of the flavor of the vegetable would come out. Yeah. But by that point, I was convinced, this is delicious. I'll have it and so forth. And so what happened was my palate, my sense of taste was growing, was expanding.
Any special person who influenced your food perspective or taste other than your wife?
Yeah. Melanie, her name is Melanie. She's a very close friend of my wife's and mine. And her fried chicken is the best fried chicken I've ever had in my entire life. For her, food isn't always about flavor. Food is about an experience, right? And so she taught me that food is about, so like when she makes a big dinner, she wants like a big gathering, right? She wants a lot of people in her house. She wants a lot of people at her dining room table eating and talking and laughing and sharing and so forth. But then sometimes, she wants to be alone. She wants some quiet time, and so she'll make herself a little meal, or she'll pick something up on the way home, and that's just a quiet meal so that she can be alone.
The places he was born, he lived for a long time, really affect his background of food and his food perspective. So let me introduce the brief and typical properties of each region. So he said, like in the California, he was born in California, and it's almost all kinds of Mexican food and its predominant cultural cuisines. The wonderful thing he felt about the food is the representative of rich cultural heritage. So he really likes the Mexican food. So in Las Vegas, he lived in there for 10 years. It was really melting pot of cultures. So they can visit all kinds of international food in there. So he visited in the Indian food, and French and German cook, and so forth. And Atlanta, it's all about Southern cuisines. It's very regional. So he likes fried chicken or BBQ, and he loves the combination of sweet BBQ sauce with savory meat.
The thing I've learned about food is that it can just be, if a person lets it, food can just be a way to survive. Yeah. It's a way to fill your stomach. It's a way to keep your body energized and to get through the day. But some food
Mm-hmm.
is very lovingly prepared.
Mm.
Some food is an expression of a person's history
Mm-hmm.
and their culture
Mm.
and their beliefs and traditions.
Mm.
And if you seek out that kind of food,
Mm-hmm.
then food can be so much more than just a way to feed your body and a way to keep going day after day.
Mm.
And so I definitely recommend to someone,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're young,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to seek out
Mm.
all of the different kinds of food
Mm.
that are out there and all of the different ways that
Mm.
they're made,
Mm.
because you might just discover an experience,
Mm-hmm.
a way of enjoying food that you hadn't before.
Mm. From childhood to now, he has changed continuously. I like the process, him finding his own taste and enlarging his experience of food via different kinds of circumstances around him. It is interesting and thinkable that someone and some places can change someone's food habits and perspective. In particular, the thing that he lives in three different regions for each 10 years is very interesting to me, since eating food as a traveler is totally different from eating food as a resident in certain area. As he said, we should try to seek out different kinds of food and try to get more ideas of food by meeting diverse people in diverse places.